Either we heal as a team, or we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen, believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. There's 6 inches in front of your face. Now, I can't make you do it. You got to look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now, I think you're going to see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're going to see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're going to do the same for him. That's the team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals.
Ideas are bulletproof. I've said it once, and I'll say it again. Either we do come together as one unit and fight the New World Order together, or we keep infighting, and we will all surely hang separately. Welcome to the show. It's Friday, June 10th, 2011. This is Down the Rabbit Hole, and I'm your host, Popeye, from FederalJack.com. Before I forget, I have a tendency to forget to give everybody the chat room info because I just have a tendency to forget about the chat room. I apologize, guys. I do a lot. So before I forget right off the bat, let me give everybody the chat room info for today. It's Delta Tango Romeo Hotel Foxtrot Juliet .chatandgo.com. So one more time, Delta Tango Romeo Hotel Foxtrot Juliet .chatandgo.com. That's the chat room for my show. In a little while, I have 2 people calling in today. One of them, his name is Alex. He is like the Ted Anderson of Bitcoin, and not many people know what Bitcoin is. Some people know what it is, but it's a very interesting currency. So I'll be bringing him on in a few minutes, as well as I have Hector from Miami. He'll be joining us after 10:30 to talk about the Campaign for Liberty and what's going on down here with the Ron Paul delegates and everything else, what they're trying to do. So I got a pretty interesting hour lined up for you guys. I hope everybody has been calling Fox News and CNN and MSNBC, and if you haven't yet, call them right now. Get on the phone right now, call them, call your local stations, videotape it, and put it up on YouTube so it inspires other people to do it. And they flood these mainstream media networks with phone calls about the Bilderberg Group. Flood them. Let's just inundate them with mass phone calls, because tomorrow there's a huge protest. So everybody, tomorrow, Saturday, 12 noon, the protest starts out by Bilderberg. If you're in Europe and you're listening to this, pack your bags, get over there, and show these scumbags who's boss, because they're certainly not in charge. They like to think they are. They're pieces of crap. I mean, they roughed up the members of the EU Parliament today that went over to Switzerland to tell them that this is BS. I mean, finally, you got politicians standing up to these scumbags. Of course, it takes European politicians to do it, because American politicians are too big of cowards now, and they're too in the pocket of most of these corporations and organizations. But we're making headway. So everybody, if you can get out there, either film it, bring signs, bring a bullhorn, let the Bilderberg scumbags know who's boss. They're all pedophile pieces of crap. They all deserve to be locked up. You know, there's members of the Swiss government that are trying to, it's the equivalent of like a congressman trying to, storm the Bastille. You know, he's trying to go in there and get them, and they're getting attacked. And now the Swiss guy wants to do the same thing. And I know he's headed up there. There's other members of the EU Parliament that are headed up there. So back them up, guys. You got politicians standing up for you. So get out there. You know, everybody cries that no politicians stand up. You actually got politicians standing up. Show these guys that you mean business. Back them up. Everybody, tomorrow, outside the hotel in Switzerland, I forget the name of it, just go look it up, Bilderberg 2011. I'm sure InfoWars has all the information on it. Go check it out. Go there if you can. If not, spread the news. Spread the word on Twitter, Facebook. It's time people stood up to these elitist scumbags. If you don't know who the Bilderberg Group is, I suggest you go check them out. The biggest group of evil you could ever imagine getting together that we know of. I'm sure there's even bigger meetings that we don't know about, but this is one of the large ones that we do know about. And it's a gathering of just evil. You know, editors have been going there forever. And you can look back. There's even political cartoonists that have drawn cartoons, of an editor, being at the meeting and thinking about publishing a story, but also thinking about his oath. I'm doing air quotes to the Bilderberg, his promise of secrecy. You know, Hillary Clinton is attending the meetings. Suddenly, the news comes out today that she might be the new World Bank head. Are you kidding me? And people still think that this isn't shady and that there's not a conspiracy. Conspiracy means two or more people getting together to do a bad thing. Well, I call a meeting of the world's elite that's secretive, that have armed guards, that attack politicians that are legally there to say, hey, you can't make, policy in my country. And they beat the crap out of them. I call that a conspiracy. If you don't call that a conspiracy, then you're an idiot, because it completely falls under the textbook definition of conspiracy. But I'm sure you're more worried about, Casey Anthony killing her little girl. And, again, as I was a guest on Bob Tuskin's radio show yesterday, and we talked about this. And Bob actually wrote a really good article. You can see it on bobtuskin.com or federaljack.com. It's called The Casey Anthony Distraction. And, it sums it up. Look, what happened to little Kaylee Anthony is horrible, and it's deplorable, and her mother should rot for the rest of her life if she killed that little girl and then covered it up. I totally agree. But that shouldn't be why is that the main focus of coverage? Because they don't want you to pay attention to the Bilderberg Group. Misdirection. Magicians use it all the time. Sleight of hand. It's BS. It's time to wake up, people. So everybody, get out there. Call your local newspapers. Call Fox News, call CNN, call MSNBC, call your local affiliates, call talk radio shows, call blog talk radio shows that don't talk about this stuff. Call anybody, video it, record it, put it up on YouTube. If you do, send me the link. It's real simple. You can go to my YouTube channel, Federal JackTube 5, and send me the link through there, or you can email it to me at VFOR911@gmail.com. That's VFOR911@gmail.com. So if you guys video yourself, record yourself, whatever you do. Send it to me, and I'll post it on Federal Jack. In fact, if you send me the video clips or send me a link, you upload it to YouTube, send me the links, and if I get enough, I'll make a montage video, and I'll put it on all my YouTube channels and Facebook and We Are Change. I'll publish it everywhere. Stand up to these guys. Like Remo just said, silence is the enemy. Time to stand up and be heard. Time to take our balls out of our mom's purse, put them back on, and do what's right. We're going to break. We'll be right back. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye.
Kill your own citizens to advance your ways. All my real patriots stand up and say 9/11 was an inside job. They lie, they scam, they cheat, and steal. They plot, they fund, they act, it's real. They watch, they hunt, they punish and kill.
Welcome back to this Friday edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. It is June 10th, 2011. I'll be taking some phone calls for this segment, and then the last two segments I'll be getting into Bitcoin, and we'll be hearing from the Ron Paul representative from down here in Dade County, hopefully. The best, how does it go? The most laid plans of mice and men go awry, something like that. Anybody wants to call in, feel free to call in about your feelings about the Bilderberg group, about the fact that actually the mainstream coverage this year has actually been incredible. I'm almost inspired to make a Hitler rant video about it. I've been thinking about it all day. I just have to get a clean copy of the Downfall movie. So if somebody wants to, feel free and put in the chat room or send me a link to a good copy of the Downfall flick. That would be perfect because I could use that scene. Also, if anybody's got any visual footage of like the past week of Florida, chemtrail footage of the sky, please, please, please send me links on YouTube. I'm trying to do a comparison video so I can show people what's been going on, and I was going to do it just from over my area down here in Miami, and I noticed that most of the responses to the video I had done about chemtrails the other day were from all over Florida, and they saw the exact same thing I did. At around the exact same times in the afternoon, they could see the same thing. And it was amazing. It wasn't like one or two people. It had to be about 16 different emails I got. A couple people were couples, man and woman, married, whatever. But most people, it was about 16 different people emailed me. And some were in Central Florida. A couple were up in the Panhandle. A few were over on the northeast corner. And then there were a couple down here in South Florida as well that saw it. They were over on the West Coast. And I got an email from the Keys saying the same thing. So it wasn't just me. It wasn't camera flare like somebody tried to say. It's not natural that, I understand the halo was formed in the sky because it was the sun reflecting off particles in the air. I get it. The point is that's not natural. You're not supposed to have reflective particles floating around the air that could bounce the sunlight like that. The only thing that does that would be metal. You'd have to have some sort of metal particulate, i.e. aluminum or barium. And then you go look up what these people are dumping, barium and aluminum. They talk about wanting to dump tons of aluminum into the atmosphere to, quote-unquote, help with global warming, to reflect the sun's rays. And I'm doing air quotes because I'm quoting literally what these people talk about. And these are people like John P. Holdren, Obama's science czar. This guy's crazy. Just look at his photo. He's crazy. Look up John P. Holdren. This guy's nuts. He looks like the nutty professor. He looks like one of these mad scientist idiots that would completely just take the world out. These guys are whacked, completely whacked. HARP is not the only thing, by the way, people. I know everybody focuses on HARP. HARP is scalar technology. It's not HARP technology. I want to touch on this quick before I forget, because this is something a lot of people they don't understand. HARP is the installation, but it's called scalar technology. It's based off of Tesla's technology. And there's way more installations than just HARP around the world. The Russians have them. The Chinese have them. We have multiple ones. There's a couple other countries. I think there's a couple Middle Eastern countries that have them now. I think Iran is playing with HARP technology. Scalar I even said it myself. It's not HARP technology. It's scalar technology. And you get caught up saying that because it becomes a buzzword, like truther or patriot or birther. Or now with Osama bin Laden, they had the deather, except they had to stop doing that because they shut down that down real fast. And they had to shut it down real fast was because they started doing polls and over 80% of the country didn't believe it. So what were they? The mainstream media knows that they would look like idiots if over 80% of the country, if they were calling over 80% of the country crazy. They would really alienate their base. I mean, they're already in the bottom of the toilet, but they're circling the drain and they're scrambling to keep themselves afloat. Doing that would have sunk them. So you notice the term deather went off the air. You don't hear that anymore. It's all psyops. The term truther was invented by the CIA. That's like conspiracy theorist. Same thing. It's to get you labeled if you think outside the box. And if you don't think outside the box, it's for you to label people that do think outside the box. It's just like racism. How many people you know are very intelligent, but they'll look at one race, whether it be black people, Spanish people, Asian people, even white people. There's racism from other cultures on white people too, so it's not just white people. But we'll say middle America, average white person, and a lot of people, and again it's other nationalities too. But we'll narrow it down for argument's sake. These people don't. They have racist beliefs. Not white power. It's stuff that's been projected into their head. That they also have fake guilt about stuff that they didn't do. I'm going to get hate mail for this, but I don't think anybody now, I don't think white people now should have guilt about, this inner guilt that they had something to do with the torture and slavery that happened hundreds of years ago to black people and Spanish people and Indians. And I don't think that the white people now, if you didn't take part in it, if you don't believe in it, if you in your heart of heart abhor that kind of behavior and treatment of another human being, then that's fine. But I don't think you should be beating yourself up for something that you had nothing to do with. I do think that you should be aware of it and learn from it and never treat another human being like that. But I don't think you should have this retarded fake guilt. See, that's how the quote-unquote liberal left controls their group of people. They control them by getting them to have this fake guilt that they did something wrong. Why do you think they're always trying to help everybody else out? Why do you think they want to help the illegals out? Because you always hear, well, without these illegal people, oh my God, they work so hard, they mow our lawns for us, and they do all this for such low wages. So basically, these people that are fighting for the illegals to be here in the country and be their gardeners and stuff just don't want the illegals to be kicked out because they want minimum wage slaves because they don't want to do anything themselves. That's not being good to another human being. That's being a scumbag. But they'll tell you you're racist for wanting to close the border. And I don't have any problem with legal immigration, but I have a problem with illegal immigration. My mother was an immigrant to this country, as well as my grandfather, my grandmother, my aunt. And then on my father's side, I had family that immigrated here a little bit before the Civil War. They all had to go through the citizenship process. Millions and millions of other Americans have had to go through this. Yes, we're a country that's built up of immigrants and we're a melting pot, but we're also a country of laws. And when the federal government doesn't follow our own laws, I mean, for Christ's sake, people, open your eyes. The northern border to Canada, they fly UAV drones over, and they're cutting little sleepy towns in half because the border runs through them, and now they put up these big border checkpoints, and Border Patrol are acting like the Gestapo. But then you go to the southern border, and you know you could drive a tractor trailer across it in some sections because you know their fence doesn't even exist, and their physical fence goes for miles and then just stops. So yeah, useful fence. We're going to break, guys. We'll be right back on Popeye. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. Go check out my website, federaljack.com.
The reasons for the cover-up, the reasons for the censorship. Now I realize that Uncle Sam was not befriending me. He was only using me to be friends with the enemy. A presidential terrorist. Ain't that a contradiction? I guess it goes to show the truth is stranger than fiction. But they don't even show the truth when soldiers are missing. I'm only trying to...
Hey guys, this is Popeye from federaljack.com. Don't miss my show, Down the Rabbit Hole, Sundays from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on the Orion Talk Radio Network.
All the dream, that's what I tell myself to cope with and deal. Try to convince myself these several years were not even real. Try to convince myself the media was making this up. That if I wait here, Morpheus will be waking me up. But instead I'm in my bed, game over. I ain't even drank nothing, but I got a hangover. First I was drunk from the lies they were feeding me. Then I sobered up and realized they were mistreating me. I stumbled out my bed and tried my best.
Welcome back. It is Friday, June 10th, 2011. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye from federaljack.com. I am joined today by my two guests for the rest of the hour. Hector is a Ron Paul activist in Miami. He works his butt off trying to awake others to Ron Paul and show them that there is another choice. I know him personally, and I got to say, he's a hell of an activist. He does everything in his power to get Ron Paul known around here. So he really busts his butt. I don't know. I haven't met any. I've met a lot of Ron Paulers down here, and you meet the ones that go out with the signs and everything else, but not a lot of people down here are serious and take it to the next level, and Hector does just that. And he's actually trying to organize a little shindig. I'll have him tell you about that in just a second. We're also joined by my friend Al from the Bitcoin Exchange, who's going to tell us about Bitcoin and how you can transfer money from Bitcoin and exactly what can be done with it and what it is. Because not many people know what it is, but I can tell you what, it is the currency of the revolution. Okay, Hector, yesterday we were talking, and you were telling me about what's going on with the Ron Paul groups and what you guys are up to. There's a big meeting, I believe, or something, and you guys are trying to get Ron Paul's name on the ballot, I assume, correct?
Right, Popeye. We heard that at least in Miami, everywhere else they're doing their own thing, but everybody's scrambling, every campaign scrambling to fight for these straw polls across the nation, and our fight in Miami and Florida just started. Tonight, midnight, just before midnight, ends the final registration for Republicans to register to attend the Presidency 5, which is the Republican State Convention that's going to take place from on September 22nd to 24th in Orlando. The good news is that the campaign came up early, and since they have all this cash and they're expecting more, they said, you know what, if you can't even afford to go, we're going to pay your way as long as you commit to support us. And you know what, there are hundreds of thousands of members of Campaign for Liberty, thousands more, tens of thousands more that are in meetup groups and other groups that weren't affiliated with Campaign for Liberty, and so for the Republican Liberty Caucus, for example, that we're mobilizing them. I've had a team of up to 10 people calling members all week, trying to get them sign up to register, and let's win this one for Ron Paul. Miami specifically is a key target because it actually has the largest delegation of Republicans going to the convention, because Miami's a weird thing. Miami's the only large metropolitan area in the entire country that actually is not Democrat, that does not vote primarily Democrat. It's a weird phenomenon, but that's primarily because of the large conservative population here.
Yeah, there is a large conservative contingent in South Florida, believe it or not. A lot of people would probably assume otherwise, but no. And there is a large portion of the Latino community that is actually Republican, which people, the media loves to tell you that the quote-unquote, I'm doing air quotes, the minorities, which they aren't anymore, but the minorities vote for Democrats, which is a lie. Okay, I mean, it all depends on the area that you go to and the state that you're in, the county, and the city. I mean, you can break it down, to that. And I've seen that around here. How can people join your efforts, Hector? How can they get in touch with you if they're a Republican and they're a Ron Paul Republican and they're registered Republican down here? How can they get involved with you and the rest of the Campaign for Liberty down here in Miami?
Well, first of all, they shouldn't waste any time trying to get in contact with me. Just go directly to the website. There's only one way to register for that event, and it's going to presidency5.com, and right there you can apply to register for the event. After that, then you can contact me. You can find me through the meetup, through our meetup website, which it's the number 9th in the nation. So it's ronpaul.meetup/9. Our great friend Dean Santoro, he started it after hearing about Ron Paul wanting to run, and we were fortunate enough to be the 9th in the nation to start a meetup group. So that we have the privilege of having that honor. I don't even think Texas has number one. I think it's in California. So it's up to you if you want to get involved. You don't even have to choice because you won't have to pay anything, no one would have to pay anything until August. So the choice is really up to everybody who's registered Republican to do it. And if you're not registered Republican, well, on this go around, too bad, because the establishment politics are involved now, and they set the rules. And they said that anyone registered as a Republican before or after February 1st cannot register for this event. You cannot participate, even though you may have been a Republican.
More dirty politics in Florida. And just to clarify so people understand what Hector's talking about, the state of Florida only allows you to register as one of two things, Republican or Democrat. You can say I'm independent, but you won't get you really don't count. I mean, you can vote as an independent, but when it comes to straw polls, when it comes to trying to get your voice heard, you're not going to. You have two choices, Republican or Democrat. So the easiest way to go is, which a lot of people do, obviously Hector's a libertarian. He's not a neoconservative moron. The Republican Party wasn't always like they are, by the way, people. They were more libertarian back in the day. They've just been hijacked by neocons. But Hector's more of a, at least I would say, more of a libertarian type guy. But yeah, he registered, obviously he was smart. He registered Republican. That way he can play the game, which is what he's saying. Because if you don't register one or two sides, you're screwed. And in this case, if you're a registered Democrat but you still want to vote for Ron Paul, well, that's all well and good. You can vote for him. But in this case, the straw poll, you can't, because they're, again, they're partisan politics. They're trying to break it down to just Republicans. So any Republicans in Miami, please go to the website. Hector, tell them where to go again.
The website is presidency5, number 5.com. And from there, you can click apply and take it from there and register.
Awesome. Hector, I'd like to invite you to hang out for the rest of the show if you want, and have sort of a round table of sorts, because I'd like to get your thoughts on a few things, and I'd like to get my other guest Al's thoughts on a few things. So if you wouldn't mind, were you willing to hang out for the rest of the show?
Sure thing.
Awesome. Okay. Hang out, and Al, I'd like to introduce you to the audience. Say hello. Take a bow.
Greetings.
And you run the Bitcoin exchange. Could you please tell the listeners, and if Hector doesn't know about it, he'll learn too, and myself, about Bitcoin and what it is, basically. We got about 3 minutes before we go to break, so go ahead. In a nutshell, try to wrap it up.
Well, Bitcoin is basically one of the new standard e-currencies that has hit the scene. It is a global decentralized currency that is a lot like PayPal, or not at all like PayPal, but it's a lot like any of the other type of e-money services that people use, except it's decentralized and open source. There's no central Bitcoin incorporated. It's a peer-to-peer protocol. It operates much like BitTorrents do. And when it started off a couple years ago, each Bitcoin was only worth about 3 cents, and within the last week they've skyrocketed up to about $30 a piece. And Bitcoins are created by the users, people called miners. They'll set up their computers to use the CPU and GPU power to generate the coins. And then from there, the coins can be spent and used as normal currency. And there's no central authority. Everyone who runs the software is helping to process transactions.
And you can use it to buy products like regular people, right? Like
Correct.
You yourself being a, I guess you could say you're kind of like the Ted Anderson of Bitcoin. You yourself exchange Bitcoin. People come to you with gold and silver and regular Federal Reserve fiat currency notes, and they're able to trade that in for Bitcoin and then use the Bitcoin to buy stuff on websites, correct?
Correct. People can approach exchangers. BitcoinExchange.cc is one of the websites that offers these services. And what we'll do is someone can come to us with fiat currency or gold or silver, and we will convert that into Bitcoin for them at the current market value. And it started off, like I said, just as early as a couple months ago, Bitcoins were going for $1 a piece, and they've inflated to the point where they're worth $30 a piece now.
Yeah, Max Kaiser's even been talking about them, calling them the currency of the revolution. Look, you're doing something right, Al, when you get senators like Chuck Schumer trying to come after you for Bitcoin. So you must be doing something right. When Chucky Schumer starts a snipping, you know you're doing something right because he's a little rat. All right, guys, we're going to break. We'll be right back. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. Stay tuned.
Good stuff.
Silence is the enemy. Words have power, but actions speak louder. Pretend to be free till you die a slave, a soldier in the desert searching for a ghost in the cave. For the corporation, I run out of patience. Sick of seeing troops sink to die for your lives, spending dollars in debt. We holler in protest till we have your arrest.
Welcome back. This is the final segment of Down the Rabbit Hole. It is Friday, June 10th, 2011. A lot of times I talk about negative stuff. I talk about the bad stuff. I tell you, I talk about JFK's assassination. I talk about 9/11. We talk about everything. My show is really about showing you the dirty underbelly, the stuff that other people don't want to talk about, or, maybe don't want to talk about it for whatever personal reasons or whatever reasons they don't want to alienate their listeners. Well, that's what my show's for. I'm unlike others. But today, I'm also offering solutions, which I do. I'm not Mr. Doom and Gloom. I do offer solutions. And I think a really perfect solution to our monetary problem of fiat currency is Bitcoin. During the break, Hector and Al actually had a very interesting conversation where I just sat back and didn't listen. I just listened. I didn't talk at all, and I muted my mic. And Hector asked a really good question, and I asked him to ask it again on air so that the listeners could hear Al's answer because it's important. So, Hector, go ahead and ask Al what you said. What you asked him off air.
Sure. Well, I'm a guy who reads a lot from NewRockwell.com's blog, and today there was a quick snippet about Bitcoin, perfectly, that asked, well, what happens? Bitcoin's a digital currency. Well, that means you can technically make as many copies as you want, just like digital dollars. So what prevents Bitcoin from having that same effect?
So, Al, how do you prevent Bitcoin from being counterfeited?
Well, since the code is open source, it's actually been hard-coded into the software that the development of Bitcoins is hard-coded in to be generated at a steady rate. At the moment, there's about 6 million to 10 million Bitcoins in circulation, and when it reaches 21 million, then there will be no more coins generated at that time. And they're generated at a steady, predictable rate, and since it's hard-coded into the software, it's pretty much impossible to be able to generate more beyond that. It's because the code is open source and anyone's able to analyze it and see how it's done.
So it's pretty much, I guess you could say, counterfeit-proof to a certain extent.
Yes, the problem and also the problem of double spending the digital coins has also been mitigated through the use of public key, private key cryptography.
Okay. And what can you buy with Bitcoin? Because a lot of people ask me, hey, I've mentioned to them, hey, privately you should get Bitcoin. And they say, yeah, but Popeye, what can I buy with that? You can only go to a few places. And I asked you that, and you said, no, that's not true. There's a lot of people accepting it.
Yeah, if you go on Google and type the Bitcoin Trade Wiki, you'll see a long list of companies that accept Bitcoin as payment, and there you can get anything from hosting to food products to gift cards to regular fiat currency converting back and forth if you want to trade based on the fluctuations. You can also you can like I said, you can buy hosting. You could hire web developers. You can hire people to do services for you. Most recently, there's an actual a gun shop started accepting Bitcoin, and they're totally legal gun shop located in the Midwest, and they've just decided we're going to start taking Bitcoins now.
And that's why Max Kaiser calls it the currency of the revolution, because you can't lump groups of Bitcoins together and make them a security and try to sell it to some private investor. You can't take Bitcoins and give them to somebody and then not tell the general public. You know what I mean? It's not a controlled currency like cash.
Well, actually, you kind of can do those things.
No, I mean you can't. I should rephrase that. The federal government can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other great part, as Al was bringing up, is you can't track Bitcoins, and that's why Schumer and the rest of them are all up in arms, because hey, they can't see what you're doing. And yeah, there are some places I've actually seen that people are selling drugs online using Bitcoin, and people say, oh, well, you see, we have to outlaw it. No, you don't, because those idiots that are buying stuff in the mail, 50% of them are going to get arrested because they're going to get caught. So that's not really intelligent to order drugs by mail. Unless
and you can get the same, and you have the same problem buying drugs with cash. The drugs are available with cash as well.
Yeah,
so,
it doesn't make sense because let's be honest, cash is still king in most people's eyes. See, them trying to shut it down is BS. That's them trying to say, hey, we see a currency that could kick the crap out of the fiat currency, so we got to nip it in the bud before this gets out of control.
Yeah, it started off being worth only a few pennies, and then it surpassed the value of the U.S. dollar. Now it's about to go, 1-to-1 with the price of silver, and so that's pretty heavy duty stuff. And
considering it's not created by a central bank anywhere. It's created,
by the users. It's created by the users.
Yeah, it's incredible. See, Bitcoin to me, Al, is a way of showing the little guy that he doesn't have to suck on the teat of the bank to make it.
Yeah, it's completely it completely liberates you from the. It's basically going to do the same thing to finance.
We lost you there for a second. That's all right. I'll try to bring Al back. But as he was saying, it's an awesome currency. I mean, Bitcoin is, in my eyes, it actually interested me enough as an investor that I actually have gone and invested in Bitcoin myself. And I'm not making any money. I don't get paid for this. I actually, I know Al, but I brought him on tonight because I wanted people to be able to see that, Bitcoin is crazy. And the mainstream media, the only coverage it gets is, Chucky Schumer and the rest of these scumbag senators that they want to outlaw because you can buy drugs with it. Ooh, you can buy drugs with it. Yeah, somebody could walk across the street and get hit by a bus. What if? I know I can't get censored for saying this. So, like my drill instructor used to tell me, what if my sister had a dick? She would be my brother. Enough with the what ifs. You can't live life like that. You can't run around, oh my God, what if this, what if that? You should be prepared for certain things, but don't be a scaredy cat, okay? Don't be afraid. Take a chance. Look, I'm going to tell you what, I started getting involved with Bitcoin when I watched it go from like a month and a half, 2 months ago. It was like, I think $5 or $8. And I was like, I'll wait. And like a month later, now yesterday it was at 30, and it went back down a little bit, but it'll go back up again. It already surpassed the U.S. dollar. So, that's just incredible. And I think Al's back with us. Al, you there?
Yeah, but what I was saying right before I got cut off is if you go to blockexplorer.com and enter any Bitcoin address, you can see the entire history of that address. Every coin that's gone in or come out from that address is available. There's no IP address or no identifying information tied to that address, but the nature of Bitcoin is, since it's open source, all transactions are publicly logged, and since everyone's processing the transactions, it goes to this distributed database model where everyone can see everything that's going on the network. So if you're conducting major illegal activities using Bitcoin, it's probably not a good idea because the transactions are logged for everyone to view. It's mostly just as a way it's meant to be used as a liberating currency, not really a money laundering tool, because it's trackable if you're going to do that the moment you're able to get tied to your address.
So there you go. So Chucky Schumer and all them spreading myths that, that Bitcoin, is going to lead to the downfall of society, pretty much is just, BS. They just don't want, their bosses don't want a competing currency, and they're doing as they're told. Chucky Schumer's a little dirtbag anyway. I want to get your guys' opinion really quick on something, and then I'm going to let you give you guys a shout out for the websites and stuff again, and I'm going to have Hector give a shout out for the info again. But really quick, I don't know if you guys noticed, the news has made a big deal in the past 2 days about saying that DHS is no longer investigating right-wing extremists, and now all of a sudden Mark Potok is on MSNBC saying, "Oh my God, we're gonna have an attack because of this. This is horrible. What the hell is DHS thinking?" My personal opinion on this is DHS is saying that. They're not actually following through with that. I think that's just face talk. But I think that they are actually setting up the quote-unquote right-wing extremists, anybody that, and they're going to throw everybody, you already know, 9/11 Truth is thrown in there, anybody in the liberty movement, libertarians, constitutionalists, Republicans, they're setting people up. I really think that they're getting ready for another false flag event, because just the way you have to pay attention to what's going on and what the crap the media pumps out, and it's like they're setting it up. They're saying, "Hey, look, perfect case of, look, we did what we were told. We didn't investigate these people, and they attacked us. Now we need more draconian laws." I mean, that's what it looks like to me. What do you guys think, Hector?
Well, I go by Rockwell's law. Whatever the government says, just believe the exact opposite.
Al, what do you think, real quick?
I think they're definitely setting the stage to do something and then blame it on so-called right-wing extremists, because that's just the way the pendulum has swung under the Bush administration. It was Arabs in caves under this administration. You have militia people in the woods.
Yeah, figures. All right, go to, what is it, bitcoinexchange.cc?
Correct. Bitcoinexchange.cc.
Check out federaljack.com. Hector, where do they go? Campaign for Liberty?
You can go to Campaign for Liberty. I'll find you there. I'm there. I'm actually the county coordinator for Campaign for Liberty in Miami. So you'll definitely find me.
Either we heal as a team, or we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen, believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. When you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football.
Yet to give everybody the chat room info, because I just have a tendency to forget about the chat room. I apologize, guys. I do a lot. So before I forget right off the bat, let me give everybody the chat room info for today. It's Delta Tango Romeo Hotel Foxtrot Juliet .chatandgo.com. So one more time, Delta Tango, Romeo, Hotel, Foxtrot, Juliet, .chatandgo.com. That's the chat room for my show. In a little while, I have two people calling in today. One of them, his name is Alex. He is like the Ted Anderson of Bitcoin.
Between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. There's 6 inches in front of your face. Now I can't make you do it. You gotta look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now I think you're gonna see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're gonna see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're gonna do the same for him. That's the team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals.
Ideas are bulletproof. I've said it once, and I'll say it again. Either we do come together as one unit and fight the New World Order together, or we keep infighting, and we will all surely hang separately. Welcome to the show. It's Friday, June 10th, 2011. This is Down the Rabbit Hole, and I'm your host, Popeye, from federaljack.com. Before I forget, I have a tendency to forget.
Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch.